And we are live. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode in a series where we talk to senior engineers from the tech industry around the state of hiring. Today we have Anusha with us. Hey Anusha, what's up?
Hi.
How are you
Okay,
doing?
great.
All right.
Surviving in the world of AI.
that's that's so right. Yeah, we are all surviving the world of AI. That's so true. But yeah, okay, not going to that tangent there. Let's start with this context. So, for our listeners out there, can you set some context by sharing how many interviews have you taken so far?
Okay, I've lost the count, but definitely above 100.
Above
I've
100.
been
Okay, okay, that's a lot.
probably that's what I like to think. So I've been continuously giving interviews, starting from second or third year of college. What I'm telling you is including everything: internship interviews, this interviews, that interviews. Okay, wrong.
How many interviews have you taken so far?
Taken so far. Okay, sorry. Cut. Taken so far, yaar. This. I think a couple of them. 10 or 15 probably.
All right, all right.
In four companies.
Okay. Off the top of your head, is there some experience that you remember? Okay, this was the most memorable candidate. It could be good, it could be bad, but just want to understand who was that candidate who completely like surprised you in a good or bad way? How was that experience?
Yeah, there was one candidate who knew how to Google search really well. This was the pre-COVID era and not the chat GPT era. And this person really knew so many tricks to Google search. Mostly in these companies that I've worked with, it was mostly open book interviews, as far as I remember.
Interesting.
And there was one candidate who knew to Google search things so quickly and get to the answers without even thinking much about it. That was one thing that surprised me because during the pre chat GPT era, getting things done wasn't that easy. You do it, however, maybe refer somewhere.
Right.
You need not do it yourself, but getting to do it in a fraction of minute, that was important. But now with ChatGPT era, things have changed. That is no longer relevant. Anybody can use ChatGPT and get things done. So it's mostly attentiveness and quick response that has attracted me towards a candidate or biased me from one candidate to another.
Right. So basically, the candidate knew what to look for and they could
Yes.
pretty quickly. And that is what actually we are expected to do at the job as
Yes.
well. We need to know of the existence of something that, hey, this is possible. And then we can quickly look it up how to basically do it. Um, you also mentioned that it was an open book interview. Can you elaborate on what does that mean and how is it?
Um, Basically, you're given a question or maybe a coding question. So interviews have different rounds. Each round is targeted towards one particular section, maybe a projects or maybe DSA or maybe something. Open book in the sense you can use your textbook which is next to you or maybe use Google search. During the early days of my career when I was giving interviews, my manager had this concept of not making people remember things rather than look up on the internet and just get it done kind of thing. So that is what I have also continued and allowed the candidates to Google search whenever they require it because that's what we do at the job, right?
Right.
That is what I mean by open book. You can look up to this question anywhere.
Interesting. I like the fact that this is something that you pushed yourself. You mentioned that since you got this experience from someone else, so you're like, okay, let's pay it forward. Let's do that in my interviews as well, because usually there's like a company standard policy. And if you want to change something there, like that takes a lot of guts. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Let's move to the other side. So you mentioned this was a good experience with a candidate. What are some instant deal breakers for you in an interview in general?
Not being curious. Let's say I say about some not being curious about it, rather telling about something that is related to it, but not being curious to know more about. Curiosity, I think, is number one for me. when I, if I get a chance to hire someone. Second part is maybe about not knowing exactly what's on your resume. Like you've written 60% on the resume. These days, people use ChatGPT to make resumes or any other software. So
Right.
if the software has written 60% and you're saying 70% or something of that sort, I know for sure, okay, this is, I know
Yeah.
everybody is using ChatGPT, but at
Yeah.
least know your things, right?
Yeah.
This comes from the perspective of attention to detail. When you are hired in a company or in your team, you would want someone to pay attention to small details in the work that they do. So this is more than resume thing. It's more about a metric to check this factor of a person. Mm, I think third would be a victim mindset. There would be people who would say, oh, you know what, I did not go to a good college, or I did not get a chance to do this course.
Okay.
It could be some LinkedIn course or it could be some AWS course. But putting it, because I believe everything that we need to learn today is put in multiple forms on the internet.
Hmm.
Whatever you need for an interview or whatever you need to learn today, it's not like the earlier days where you had to go to a library, look for a textbook or something of that sort.
Right.
So giving a reason that you did not do certain thing because of something, that wouldn't be, that's something that I wouldn't like. Let's say a mathematical concept.
Right.
There are 3 4 websites. You want to learn it in a cartoonistic way. There's, I think, 3 blue 1 brown, which kind of tells you and explain like I'm five manner.
Hmm.
There are people from US, UK who give it in the accent, if you like, the accent way of learning or the depth of learning. There are Indian content creators who teach you like a friend with the Indian accent, or that friend who would teach you just before the exam theme.
Yeah.
Or there's enough content, so maybe you can ask ChatGPT. A lot of questions are solved there, right? So yeah, these three.
This is very weird. Like, why would you, or why would someone like rant about it in the interview itself? Ki this is the reason why I'm not able to answer that. Like, it feels very sad to hear.
Yes. I think knowing the job description in and out is important, because at the end of the day, I believe companies look for overlap between what you know
Hmm.
versus what is to be done. It's not the same for same candidate. Let's say a team is hiring 5 people. I don't think they look for the same skill for all 5 people. Maybe they focus on one particular expertise in one person, another expertise. So knowing the job description in and out and clearly putting it out. Okay, these are things I've worked on. These are things I see overlapping. These are things I do not know. And I wish to learn about it.
Right. Right. So the hiring manager can allocate the candidates effectively because at the end of the day, that is what you want your team to be, which is diverse enough to handle all different
Yes.
tasks. So being clear at where your strengths lie and where you don't know much. And also one thing that you mentioned that I really liked was key. Be clear on whether you want to improve on their weakness or not. So if
Yes.
yes, then you're a good candidate to be put under that particular project. If not, then the hiring manager will take care ki, hey, let's not put this person there. It basically makes the life of the hiring manager easier if you're very clear with what you want. So
Yes.
that's cool. And you also mentioned um, the mismatch in the numbers, what is there on the resume and what you're saying. This is also, I feel, one of my personal pet peeves as well. I It just gives that feeling of lying, that hey, you said something but it's not really that thing. And that is like an instant deal breaker for me as well, because it then casts a shadow of doubt on everything else that the person has said in the resume or is saying, because if you have lied one time, then why should I believe everything else is correct? So pretty much then you are like a blank slate. Okay, everything in the past is not counted now. Now it's just how you're answering in the interview.
Yes.
So yeah, all right, cool. So let's move to this. Are there some things that you feel candidates should focus on, but they generally tend to ignore it?
I think domain knowledge, especially in the space of AI. I've been working in the space of mostly AI research and development. So, one thing that we tend to forget is sideline the domain expertise. For example, I had just given an interview with a finance company,
Okay.
and a friend of mine who I just met said, "Oh, this is a great role. You might be," although engineering wise, I would fit well in that role. I did not know anything about finance at that point. I could not solve the problem that they had given on an Excel sheet.
Okay.
So I did not know the concepts. I did not know how the finance world worked.
Right.
So I think domain expertise is something that one has to build apart from engineering as we go up the ladder. That's what I believe.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I think again goes to knowing what you really want. I think it just makes the job search easier because once you know what you want, you also know the 19 things that you don't want. And so
Yes.
you're laser focused on, hey, this is where I want. And it actually shows up on your face as well. The conviction shows on your face when you're talking that, hey, this is something that I want versus I'm okay on this. So that intent which a hiring manager is looking for, that, hey, will this person join me? And will this person stay with me for a long time? Both are
Yes.
important. Even if you join and you leave within 3 months, it's not. They have to like actually start the entire process again, and then all the time is lost. So yeah. Okay. Let's move to a fun section, quick rapid fire round. Just share some fun things. Tell me about a time. Have you ever shipped a bug to production? Like, what is something that like production or IO basically?
Okay. I can't. I remember the first mistake that I had done in my corporate life. I had run a model on batch size one, and this was during the pre-COVID era, so we did not. Hey, cut.
That's fine.
Production bug. Wait, let me think. Cancel this question.
Answer this question, okay? This is a fun question, yeah.
Production bug.
Like it's impossible to not have done it.
I've done it. I've brought down servers and stuff.
That is what you need to tell, no?
But thing is, in a bigger company like this, I've my last three companies have been big companies, right? There are a lot of checks before something goes online. So I wouldn't say it's totally gone online.
Okay.
I would say I've caused inconvenience to a lot of people. I would like to paraphrase it. So it's not like it's gone out and things like that. Because if it's gone out, it'll be on Twitter because the companies or the things. So I think one of the silliest things that I did once before, this was again pre-COVID era. During my initial days, I ran something on batch size one, which would take forever to run. And I did not tell my manager. I came on a Saturday, slowly sneaked into the office. This was during the PC era, not the computer laptop era. We did not have laptops. So I
Yeah.
sneaked into the office on a Saturday and then stopped all the machines, ran it on batch size, I don't know what, 40 or something like that.
Okay. Okay. Pretty interesting. Yeah, I remember you to have those workstation computers and uh yeah. But like can you elaborate on what was the issue with batch size one and how it got solved with batch size 40?
So it would take a lot of time. So by batch size one sentence
Got it.
goes into the model.
And
And back then, it was a bunch of models that it had to go through and kind of,
so it would take a lot of time.
yes.
Got it. Got it. Understood.
And for the compute that we had, this was like very less amount of utilization.
Okay, okay. Got it, got it. Sneaking sounds very it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Next question, rapid fire. If you weren't a developer, what you would be doing?
Anything of my choice?
So give one example.
Okay, this is wild. I think Doraemon's Anywhere door. I need it.
How the
I, I don't know how that's coded. I still don't know why nobody's built it.
you want to build a Doraemon's Anywhere door?
Yeah, I don't know. AI, chat GPT, I don't know what. Just build it somehow.
And where will you go to?
I don't know, wherever. I don't know why nobody's focusing on that problem statement yet.
I think yeah, very fun to think about actually. Uh, the
A
entire
lot of them. I think I would be interested in building a lot of Doraemon's gadgets. I'm totally interested.
all right, all right. So basically, if AI is doing, uh, let me add a follow-up question to this. So this would be for fun, right? In general, like a side thing. But if AI is doing all of your work, then what would you do for work?
Okay, I would work for money, I believe. Um, I think maybe I would change my sector
Hmm.
and use my expertise in AI to excel in that particular sector. Maybe tourism is something that I'm excited about.
Okay.
Maybe have a cafe or maybe have a touristy place with a lot of emotions, a lot of travelers. I don't know how much money it makes. I do not have the business knowledge to know about it right now. But use my AI skills to develop something there. Maybe have some cool, interesting AI gadgets over there. Maybe attract audience using the skills that I have some interesting things there or something of that sort.
Nice, nice. Cafe sounds really cool. I
Yes.
feel we should talk again about that in a couple of years because it's going to happen. All right. So another rapid fire question. What is something or what's the longest time you have spent debugging something silly? What's the longest time at a stretch?
I think we're all timeline bound, right? So I think we don't have much to do in that space. If you for me, if I don't do not understand something, I look for the common good of the group and kind of ask for help. That's something I don't hesitate when I know this bug is going to do something. It's always good to voice it out.
Mhm.
I've been trying to practice it,
Okay.
but it's generally 1 or 2 weeks because otherwise, because people know that this is not working. In a scrum like setup or agile methodology, the projects that I've worked with are mostly close bound teams, right? Very small teams. So everybody knows what is going on in other person's chart or what is in other person's basket. So if there's a bug, it's mostly about coming together as a team and trying to tackle it or voicing it out in a meeting or something. That's what it's been going on so far.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. But in terms of like a time, like have you spent like couple of hours max on it, or maybe a whole night, or max 30 minutes to you solve every bug?
No. Because in the space of AI, a lot of bugs are not actually bugs. Let's say a model is not able to perform in certain way in some aspect, then uh, it's not a bug. It can be called a bug in the software space, but in the AI space, you really have to dig down the rabbit hole. You have to see if it's evaluation, if it's training, or if which stage of training, why is the model behaving in certain way. So it's not, it's either a 2 week thing or it's like a month long thing when you have to train the whole model altogether
All right.
or put a patch.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Let's move to the next one. Can you show us the like most random thing around you right now? Any desk item, anything that you have around you?
Okay, this is strange. Maybe like this flower.
Oh, nice, nice. This is so pretty.
Yes, I like to have these things. I like to have a feel good vibe when I work. Maybe it's office, maybe it's home, or maybe it's some cafe, or it should be nice around when I work. I can't sit in a non-aesthetic place to work. I need a aesthetic place to work.
All right, all right. Yeah, that's pretty nice. All right, last question. So what's one thing that coding has taught you about life?
I think the way you approach any problem, maybe the flow chart way. Okay, if there's a problem, there's a yes, no, there's a gray matter in between. But lot of problems, it's a flow chart way of thinking. It's probability or this, that. So a lot of times when I hang out with people who are not from the engineering background, I see these qualities in me where I'm like, oh, I've made a flow chart. Okay, this, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So sometimes it helps, sometimes it is a bad way to do things. But a lot of problems, I think, a lot of engineering problems are can be applied to the real world problems, is what I feel.
So you mentioned like breaking down a bigger problem into smaller tasks and then
Yes.
figure out the if else
Yes.
thing. All right. And you also mentioned sometimes it's a bad way. Like, why is that? Why do you think so?
Sometimes emotions have to come into picture, and the right way is not the best way. My friends sometimes call me and ask for the optimized solution. I give them, and then they're like, oh, let's add emotions to this and do whatever we want to do. But they still want to know the optimized solution to this and see how bad the optimized solution is, and then go back to the
Yeah,
emotion.
I think that happens with everyone actually. We
Yes.
just want someone else's advice. करना में वही है जो हमें करना है. We've already decided what we are going to do. It's just that if someone also says that do the same thing, then we'll do it with double the conviction. If not, we're still going to do what we were anyway going to do. So yeah, that's there. All right. So I think just as a takeaway for the listeners, if you were starting out today in the tech world, how would you start today in the age of AI
Okay, as a college graduate or even before
as a college graduate?
college graduate? First of all, be active on social media. I think growing up for me, my parents always said, oh, it's not good. Oh, it's not good to be out on social media. It's not good to be out there.
Facebook,
I,
MySpace.
Facebook. Yeah. So I think it's good that children, new college graduates are realizing these days. I see a lot of college graduates coming to conferences, these tech conferences, which are organized by companies. I met a couple of them during our conference as well. We didn't have this exposure. And when I asked them, how did you get this exposure? They said LinkedIn.
Hmm.
So I think most of the companies are active on LinkedIn, Twitter, I think Discord, or a lot of other channels. So you have to keep your ears and eyes open. Second would be to come out of your bubble as much as possible. Maybe go back and make adjustments, make tweaks once you go back. But it's important for you to come out of your comfort zone every few months. Use your pocket money. Use, maybe if you're in a small town, maybe go to Bangalore for a month, maybe go to Delhi for a month, go where the professionals are sitting and having. There are a lot of spaces these days. We work. You can go to WeWork for a week. You can go to, let's say, work from a cafe for a week. Although you are not, something or the other goes into your ears in these places. And then you come back and rethink about your life, or rethink about how you're going about it.
Okay, okay.
How your approach is mainly. For me, growing up, I did not know we could apply for companies offline, off campus. So maybe I went to cafeterias where all our companies used to, people used to have food. And then I met some more interns who were in the internship and still giving interviews. I was like, oh, this is possible. So a lot of, sometimes things are not on the internet. A lot of internet stuff is PR driven. So if you want candid inputs, it's always good to meet people outside. How you meet it, how you meet people, where you meet, it's all luck. But trying is one thing that I think each one should do. Third is about getting feedback, not being afraid to get feedback. I was always shy and hanged out only with people who would give me good feedback. My friends never hurt me or they don't tell harsh things about me. When let's say, an interview did not go well or something of that sort, they won't tell me that you did not do it right, or they wouldn't give me harsh feedback. So, one of the things that I would recommend is go out, get harsh feedbacks. It's okay, come back to your friends, cry about it and everything, rethink how if the feedback was right or you are right. But it's important feedback loop that you get from strangers. That is important rather than people who would just give nice remarks about you.
Yeah, yeah, I think those are some great tips. And this is an absolutely final question for people who are actively applying, actively job seeking. Any tips for people who are actively looking for jobs?
I think make notes about what was asked in an interview. Have a friend sit next to you during the interview if that helps. I always used to have friends who would give me feedback, or record yourself when you give an interview and iterate through the process. See where your pain points are, or something that they're not looking for. Ask questions during the interview. Maybe ask feedback. What did not go well, so that you can prepare for the next round. So anything can be learned through ChatGPT, through YouTube, through any aspects, right? So maybe for the next interview, prepare better, prepare those areas, prepare for some missing parts that you did not see in the previous interview.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. If it's almost figuring out the velocity. So
Yes.
you have the direction, if you know where to put your efforts in, then all of your efforts, whatever speed you're putting, that will take you to your destination. Otherwise, you might just be running around in circles and you might be thinking, "Arey, I'm putting a lot of effort, but it's not really bringing an outcome for me." But the reflection, the feedback part is actually the most important thing, because once you have sort of changes everything. Yeah, I think with that we'll end this conversation. I think it was super fun to have you with us, Anusha, and
Mm.
we will take away a lot of things that you shared from your experiences. Happy to have you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. This was, I think, a great experience to give back, to share what works, or give my perspective on hiring. Although I don't really spend a lot of time going into platforms, mentorship platforms, although I would like to do that sometime. But I think this was one of the ways where I could do my bit to share whatever worked for me, whatever did not work for me, and give my opinions about it.
Awesome, awesome. Let's see what people say. And yeah, we'll stop this now. All right.